Shalom, friends, and welcome back to another Biselleh Torah. The words Biselleh Torah means a little Torah, and that's precisely what we try to do in these YouTubes. Give a little foretaste of what we are to read and experience as the Torah is unfolded before our eyes this Shabbat. The Parsha this week, the Torah portion that is called Tetsaveh. And it's notable for what it contains in its many different explanations of how the Jewish people existed in the desert. But what is most profound about this Torah reading is not what is in it, but what is absent. From the time that we are introduced to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, at the very outset of the book of Exodus, until now and beyond, Moses' name figures prominently in every Torah portion, except this one. Moses' name is not mentioned a single time. His brother Aaron is mentioned no less than 7 times, but Moses, his name does not appear here. Why? There is a very cogent reason that has been cited by many of our sages throughout the epochs, which I'd like to share with you. Remember the story of when Moses went up on the mountain and received the word of God, and when he came down, he was confounded to see that the Jewish people had constructed in his absence an Egel HaZahav, a golden calf. And he was angry. But even more so, God was angry. And God told Moses, I'm going to destroy this people and start over again. You will be the new progenitor of my new nation. And Moses' response? Well, what would have been your response? But Moses says, please, God, forgive the people. Forgive them their trespass. Forgive them their sin. Ve'im ayin, and if you cannot forgive the sins, mecheni na misifrecha, erase me from your book. What a powerful statement of support for his nation, his people, time and again. Moses' rise to their defense. And here, what could be more profound than that? Now, of course, God relents. God forgives the people on account of what Moses says. But since Moses spoke, since he said, erase me from your book if you can't forgive the people, nothing we ever say is ever forgotten. It doesn't matter if we're forgiven. It doesn't matter if we have forgotten what we've said. Those words become concretized in the universe. And because Moses said those words, that is precisely why in this Torah reading, his name does not appear a single time. Despite the fact that he was correct. Despite the fact that God relented, despite the fact that the people indeed were saved, Moses' name still does not appear. As I mentioned, Aaron's name does appear, his brother, no less than 7 times in this Torah portion. And one wants to ask, how did that make Moses feel? His name does not appear a single time, but his brother? Many times. And again, I ask and appeal to you in your heart of hearts. How would you have felt if a sibling of yours receives recognition, but you, who've done the major part of the work, receive nothing? And I think that's what makes Moses, that he is Ish Anav. He is the most humble of all individuals, that he's not troubled by the fact that his name is left out, and at the same time, why his brother's name is included several times. There's powerful lessons here about standing up for each other, not because our ego is going to be rewarded, but precisely the opposite, that we're willing to take the hit. We're willing to suffer for the sake of our brother, whether it's our physical, blood-related brother or somebody who we just know, or maybe even someone whom we do not know. That is the power of Moses' lesson here. There's a wonderful story I heard about a mother and a little girl who were jumping rope, and a rabbi came along and observed the mother and the daughter jumping rope. Watched them for a little while, watched the mother jumping rope, and then the rabbi turned to the little girl and said, now let me see you jump rope. And the little girl said, I can jump rope, but I do it much better when people clap when I'm doing it. Again, another small but powerful lesson. Can we do the right thing without receiving applause? Moses receives no applause, and yet he does the right thing time and again. That's what makes him the ruler par excellence of the Jewish nation. That's why he's deserving of the name Moshe Rabbeinu, not Moses the rabbi, but Moses our rabbi, Moses our teacher. Friday, this Friday, is the 7th of Adar. The 7th of Adar, the Hebrew month that we are now in, is notable because that is the day that Moses was born. And it is further notable because that is too the day that Moses was taken from this world, the 7th of Adar. And we remember this day of his birth and his death because of the power and magnetism and the lessons that he taught us that remain and reverberate timelessly. Shabbat Shalom.